Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our second quick counsel, 30-minute legal expertise over your lunch break. I'm very excited. We have MaryAnn Pinto here from Federal Contract Solutions. I'm just going to give it like 2 minutes to make sure everybody is able to join because we have a pretty good sized crowd today. And then I will kick it over to MaryAnn to go through her presentation for small businesses and nonprofits. So throughout the course of the call, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A and I will let MaryAnn know when they come in and we'll answer them, as quickly as we can. And if you are able to hold them till the end, that's fine. But if you see a slide and you have a question immediately, please feel free to let us know. All right. One more minute for people to pop in. All right, we're going to get it started. Looks like we have most everyone who signed up. So again, MaryAnn Pinto from Federal Contract Solutions is going to be presenting our quick counsel today. I will kick it over to her to do a brief introduction, and then we'll jump right into her presentation on federal contracts. MaryAnn.
I'm going to do a share, and then I will take it from there, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Oops. I think we, Alyssa, is this big enough? Is it large?
Nope, it's still in your mode. It's not in the presentation mode yet.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to do a stop.
Okay.
Is it in presentation mode?
It will be if you, the display settings at the top, you just want to switch that over again to the other one.
Give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
I found 3 different, as you know, Murphy's Law always has it, even though you're prepared.
Of course, all the time.
Is it yes or no?
Nope, the display settings at the very top of your screen. If you click that drop down and just switch it over.
I'm going to do an escape and I'm going to try it again.
Sure, and if not, I can present from my side.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
How about now? Yes?
Same thing, that display settings at the top of your screen. Click that drop down.
I did, and it says resume slideshow.
Yeah.
Good.
Why don't we switch it over? I'll present so that we can.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
You know how Murphy's Law has it? It just starts acting up whenever you think you're all set.
Absolutely. I'm going to switch it over to my side. Give me one moment. Okay, I'm going to present now.
In the meanwhile, while I save time, if you don't mind, I'm MaryAnn Pinto. I am an attorney who basically does government contracts. And this is pretty much all I do. I have a JD as well as an MBA, and I am certified in government contracts.
Great.
Alyssa, can we do the next slide, please?
Sure can. Is that working for everyone? If you don't mind just making sure.
Yep. Can you click more?
Yep.
Let's go to. Fantastic. So this being 101 for government contracts, I thought I would actually put together just what would you need to do in order to be in order to sell to the government. And so the big item is you got to understand what your core products are, what your core services are. You need to worry about what you're going to sell. You also have to worry about who needs you. which branch of the government, and you're literally narrowing this down as quickly as you can. You also want to know who really wants you within the government. Is it the engineers? So if you're building roads, as an example, if your product would be to build roads, if you are selling a tar product, it would be the civil engineers. Who does that? Who wants you? Is it the engineers that you should target, or is it the contracting officers? What happens if you go to the wrong people? They're going to ignore your product. So that's really what this is about. And who really buys from you? So you're identifying the buying activity, and you're also looking at the B2G is business to government and business to business, if you want to be a subcontractor, which can actually be a positive when you really look at being a subcontractor, because then you do not have to deal with the government entity, and you can also negotiate terms which are more commercial in nature. I like this. Can we go to the next slide, Alyssa? So marketing, again, it's positioning your product. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible because most of you know about positioning, being responsive and responsible, obviously, in the government arena. This is all commercial selling. It's not any different to how you would position yourself if you were selling to someone other than the government. So it's pretty identical in that nature. The quality, you've got, the government really cares about quality. Now, in the olden days, as an example, and I'm going to talk about the olden days, 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, the government had different rules altogether. And in some cases, quality wasn't a big deal. Today, quality is a big deal. Fair price. We've all heard about the latest in the news, which basically says the price may not be fair, even though it really is. So that's really coming under scrutiny. That's going to be huge. Inspiring confidence. You know exactly what you're talking about when you talk to the contracting officers, or when you talk to someone who's going to be a client of yours or a customer. So you got to know what you're doing. And you're easy to work with. You're a team player. If it's needed tomorrow, you can juggle things around. And yes, you're willing to make things right if it doesn't work out. Alyssa, next slide, please. So what's your product and services? Oh, thank you. So what do you call it, and what does the government call it? The government may call it a different name altogether. If you're selling to the government, you need to know what they call it. It's just the name. It's just a name, but the name really does matter. And you've got to be specific as to what it is. You need to narrow things down. Let's go to the next slide. So how is government contracting different to business to business? Red tape, lots of it. I'm sure if any of you have tried to sell to the government, you know pretty well that you can't find a person to sell it to. You're not sure who to contact. If you're on the GSA schedule or trying to be, you have to go through someone else because it costs a lot of money to really put all those documents together. It's highly regulated. We all know what's happening in the market today. When we talk about a different body of law and rules, the Uniform Commercial Code is very easy to understand, at least for people like me. Then you have the FARs, and the FAR books are as tall as I stand up, which is 5 feet tall. You've got to read through all of those little documents and understand what you're reading and understand what it means. It's not always easy. The government is also very conservative what that really means is if they don't know you and you haven't been in business long enough, they won't even look at you, even though you might have a better price, even though you may be doing something that they should care about. They're risk adverse. They don't want to basically buy anything from you if they think it may go, and the words are may go haywire. The other piece of it is fair openness, and that truly is, in general, the government likes to disclose what they bought something at. So when they do an RFP and when they award a contract, a lot of times they will show us, the people, if we request it, what the price was that it was bid at. Social goals, we'll talk about that because that's going to be a hot topic over here, as well as different time horizons. It depends on where they're buying it from. So you got to worry about that. And it's the last one is we are the government. We're big and huge and we can do whatever we feel like. Take it or leave it. Next slide, Alyssa. So what do you need before you pursue a government contract? And I hear this a lot with, I'm a SCORE mentor as well. And I've had some of my SCORE clients, one of them in particular, who basically said, I can provide the government with anything they need. Well, the government doesn't like that answer. That's truly the wrong answer. What are you in the business of doing? You've got to pick something in specifically. And it isn't something that is, I can buy this from some so-and-so and I can bring it to the government and sell it to them at a markup price. They don't want to hear that. They can buy it themselves. They've got contracting officers who are junior who can do something like that. So what they're really truly looking for is how unique are you in what you can provide them. They also want to know that you've been in business for at least 3 years and you're not going to go out of business. So if they start buying from you, they want to make sure that you're going to be around. They also want to make sure that quality is pretty decent. So as an example, and this has happened a lot, I've had a client who basically said, the government has asked me for a quality sample. They're testing it out at no cost. I've given them what my costs will be for the future, but now I'm just trying to get in. I'm trying to introduce myself to them. They were thrilled to get in. It was all great, but their first piece was at a no cost. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you will get paid for it. So it all depends on the situation. Alyssa, let's go to the next slide. So let's talk about the red tape. You know you need a tax ID number if you're starting off. DUNS, I'm sorry, I never changed this. We're no longer using DUNS numbers. There is a different number altogether. It's called a UID. And that's the number which everyone's going to ask you for. And in order to get a UID, you need to register, if you haven't done that already, with login.gov and sam.gov. Let's go to the next slide. So who defines what's a small business? The Small Business Administration. And again, we'll talk more because there's another slide which is going to cover a lot of things. What defines whether you're a small business or not? It's your business size. It's your NAICS codes. So according to the NAICS code, which I provided a link over here, and I believe, Alyssa, you will be providing the slides afterwards if they want them, right? I know they'll be on the site.
Correct.
Thank you. So basically, if you click on the link, you'll be able to go to the NAICS code site and actually check it out. It's right to the census. Let's flip to the next slide, please. So business designations. Remember how we talked about small businesses? These are your designations. Women-owned, economically disadvantaged, women-owned. It basically means you're a minority and a woman. Veteran-owned, minority enterprises. And I know there's a thought in everyone's head, geez, what's going to happen in the future, right? I'm not certain. I'm going to tell you, I am not certain as to what's going to happen in the future to all of these business designations. As of right now, and we got an earlier question, nothing has changed. There is a lot of talk in the news as to big businesses getting more business, but from the government itself, in the contracts, they still happen to have all of the requirements, which, if I am correct, go from like 15% to like 70%, which is the SBA, to grant their contracts to small businesses. So what I'm really trying to say is the SBA, as an example, has 72% or something like that, where if they put a contract out there, those go towards the small businesses. And the large businesses only get the remainder of the 25% or whatever that number is. Same thing, many of the other businesses get about 5%. So if it's a woman-owned small business, they might get about 5% of all the business that comes from the government. That's what the ratings are. It has not changed. We don't know if it will. It hasn't been really talked about. And the contracting officers. So I can talk about the last time President Trump was in office. When I talked to many of the contracting officers and said, are you going to change some of the clauses because of what was said? I got a smile and said, until it is changed on the books, we're not going to do anything. And it will take at least 3 years before it gets changed on the books, before it flows down to the contracting officers. So everything is going to be status quo if it flows down from the government. That's the only story I can give you. I can hope that it will stay the same. Let's go to the next slide. So what's the social goals? I was kind of good. It's include domestic product, include your small businesses and small business disadvantaged people. Hub zone, Native Americans, veterans, even veterans are in a 5% category. Melissa, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. And I pulled these numbers out from 2025. So as I said, 14.5% is the minimum for the small business goals from the Internal Development Agency and 72% from the SBA. All the rest of these numbers are accurate as of yesterday, and I looked at them. NAICS codes. They are contract specific and they may be based on revenue and number of employees. This is how you get contracts. So understanding the FAR, and I threw this in and I threw in guidance for the FAR because many of the small businesses that deal with the government need to understand what's in those FAR clauses. They just shouldn't sign their contracts without reading them and without understanding them. If you don't understand a FAR clause that's listed, you really should, I'm not going to say contact a lawyer, but you should be contacting a lawyer or try to understand what it is. You should also try to ask the contracting officer. Many of them say they don't have the time anymore. So I'm going to toss that in. However, this is something which just happened like a week ago. Alyssa, can you actually, I think we're still on the FAR, regardless. About a week ago, President Trump said that he is going to simplify the FAR. And this basically means that by simplifying the FAR, he was going to get rid of many of the clauses that are there currently. There are a handful of them which will not be changed. More to the effect of the termination for conveniences or the stop work orders and whatever else like that. Those will still always be in the government contracts. However, the federal acquisition regulations are on the chopping block for President Trump. We will see how that goes. Next slide, please. So this is the big thing that I'm going to tell all of you. If you're looking for government contracts, don't go out to the government straight away. Try to be a subcontractor. If you start being a subcontractor and doing what the large primes, if you haven't heard the word prime, primes are usually companies that get contracts directly from the government. Since they have those goals of opening up the order and having at least 3% of it done by a small business, you might be able to sell to them if you have the right product. So the positive to this is, why not? This is also how you get your 3 years under your belt. And you see whether you really want to work with the government, with our United States government. And if you do, the positive, again, to this is you then have, I guess the best way to put this is to say you have experience in dealing with what a government order feels like. Okay, let's go to the next. So why not? And I'm going to say why not? It's a good source of business. And once the government likes you, or a prime contractor likes you because of the work you do, they stick with you. That's really the why behind it. They keep coming back and putting money in your pocket. And you really want that. Let's go to the next one. Quick definitions. Many of you know what a subcontractor is, but I just threw this in as a just in case. And basically, you would be working for a prime contractor. You'd be doing anything, furnishing supplies and services to them. Subcontract is when you enter into a contract to supply supplies and services. And it doesn't matter whether you're second tier or third tier. Flow downs is the next. And again, there are lots of flow downs. But now I'm going to throw something which is a crazy thing, which you're all going to say, whoa, do I really need to worry about FAR flow downs? Because that's what these are. FAR flow downs and DFAR flow downs, and they could be NASA and whoever else because they have a million of them. No, if you're dealing with the prime contractor as a technicality, you can try to fight this and say, listen, I'm a subcontractor. There's no privity of contract. And what privity basically means is I'm not dealing with the government directly. So therefore, hands off. I don't need to do everything that flows down from the government. Will the prime allow that? I'm not positive. So how do you approach it? In some cases, you have to say, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to allow it. Get a lawyer to work who works with government contracts. I know I'm one of the few people around here, but there are others. I'm sure you can find them. And ask questions. Let's go on, Alyssa. I'm also looking at the time. So you manage the relationship. You always want to be in the loop. You always want to know what's going on. You always want to talk. Always keep the doors open. And keep a log of what goes on. And communication. Make sure you understand everything that's going on. If something is said, if you don't understand it, bring someone else in to talk to you. This way you can click on the links and get some extra help. And that's it. Now, I know there were a bunch of questions that were asked, and sadly, these slides, because I switched over, were not able to be carried on. What about questions and answers? Can I toss? Is there a way to get them, Alyssa? Do we?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. So John is asking if they can get copies of the slides. Yes, I will absolutely send the slideshow, the presentation out to everyone after we've ended this call, and it will also be available on the website. So that will definitely happen. And I know we had a good amount of nonprofits that were on the call, and MaryAnn, you and I kind of chatted a little bit about that earlier. So I didn't know if you want to touch on that.
So, Alyssa, you mentioned something about getting money for the not-for-profits.
Yes.
And I think that's part of the news that has come out. I don't know the clear answers to it. As of this point, it all depends on which jurisdiction you're in and which judge says the government is doing things illegally and therefore the grants need to be opened up. It depends on what business you're in. So I'm going to give you an example. I know Catholic Charities in New Hampshire just had $1 million taken away from them. And it's for food for the people in New Hampshire. So at least at my church, they basically said, if you can donate, whether food, money, whatever else, that's what's taken away. So at least we might be able to feed people if people donate. Where are you going to get your money from? So one of the conversations that I had with Alyssa as well, I'm sorry if you can see me, I'm kind of doing a quick glance at my the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation, if any of you know of them. They're in Concord. Touch base with them. If you need someone to help you out to some extent, I think my email's around, Alyssa. It was on the slides.
Yes, and they will have that through the slideshow, and I'm happy to share that with anyone who'd like it.
Please reach out to me. I know at least one person who does this for a living and tries to get who gets donors. So maybe you can all touch base with this individual. He worked for the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation for the longest time and did extremely well and got money for them. Uh, I know the last time he did, he also got it from Jeff Bezos's first wife, who gave us in New Hampshire like $8 million. So you never know uh, when he can help do the same thing again for some of your charitable organizations. Anything else? Any other questions? I know there were I know there were a bunch of them, but I kind of lost it in my slide process.
No worries. Yeah, I want to make sure we're wrapping things up because we want to be respectful of everyone's time. But for anyone who's still on the call, if you have any questions at all, feel free to throw them into the Q&A. And if not, I will happily send out MaryAnn's contact information with the slides afterwards, so you have all of those resources available to you.
And I don't mind you reaching out and asking questions, please. Please do.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, MaryAnn. That was very thorough. I know everyone appreciates it. And we will make sure this goes onto our learning library so anyone who missed the call is able to watch it later on. And John from Meals on Wheels said, well done. So thank you, John.
I just noticed that. Thank you, John.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I hope we will see you again next month for our quick counsel to be determined. So if you have ideas for something that you are looking for a quick counsel, please feel free to reach out as well. I'd be happy to take some suggestions. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you again, MaryAnn.
You take care, Alyssa.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.